Hello everyone, this is TM Craze and we're going to do something that's a little bit different here. We're going to do a deck list for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel for Marincess. You can kind of ignore all the stuff on the right side, most people do because this is just all the stuff I have. You know, yada yada. But I figured I should at least document this for my sake, if only because my Marincess list is always still changing and you know, there's different things that can be done with it, right? Like, okay. For one, I do kind of need to. I've fucking had hands where I've bricked with this too many times, and I just need to add one more. What's that one more thing I'm going to add, though? Probably just Reborn, honestly. So yeah, there's just that stuff happening in real time, but let's go over it. So, let's kind of go over, you know, all the non-engine stuff first, right? I'll go over some of the other stuff later. I mean, like the pure, like non-engine, like hand traps, all that. So, you know, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom. Maxi because this is Messwell and you kind of need to run this. Ash C for stuff like Branded Fusion, like anything that sends from deck to graveyard. You know, like anything to do with the deck. And also just counter Maxi because, yeah. I'm not running Crossout. I'm not a big Crossout fan. Like, I am running, of course, that too called By the Grave because this is just kind of anti-monster in general. Like, anti-draw, anti-whatever. Like, this deck doesn't really get affected by draw, but it's nice to have it, right? 3 Imperm, I mean, goes without saying. Literal hand trap. You can kind of just activate from the hand. And if you said you kind of just stop a column of spell cards. You know. This is the counter hand trap where if they maxi on your turn, you just activate talents and just either rip something else from their hand or what is it? Or you know, you draw 2. If they spring maxi on you, you're probably gonna have to just take the draw 2 card to effect. If they spring like an Ash on you, you can just punish them even more by what is it? By, you know, activating the look at your opponent's hand effect and just ripping a card away from them. And then you know, obviously new edition Monster Reborn here and Silent Mining. I run 2 because 3 is actually just too bricky for me. Like I hate drawing into this thing. It's a great card. It gets your Marincess engine online, but like holy hell is this thing like terrible when you draw like when you have it at 3. I don't have any draw spells either. I don't have desires. I don't have any of those. I don't like the way that this deck is built right now. I think this can be said for most of the Marincess decks. You don't need any of the draw cards because you don't really have a hard time making combo lines out of what hands you draw. It's really only like super drastically bad when you draw completely like non-engine stuff. But you know, this is a card game, right? That'll happen with like from time to time. Like you can't really avoid that, even if you have all the correct ratios. Anyway, so let's go through the engine stuff now. 1 Mandarin. This comes up a lot. I mean, if you have Blue Tang and Spring Girl in hand, you can just send Mandarin and then you have just another extender that just works really well, getting you to Aqua Argonaut and stuff. If it's in the graveyard, you can use it as an extender. Like, it's just really good. You know, thing is, it's just that like it banishes itself, so you don't really want to draw like what is it? Have too many copies of this, and also it doesn't really work all that well as a 1-card starter like the others do because again, because of how its condition works, where you need 2 Marincess monsters. So, just not happening. 3 Seahorse, this is, the second best one card starter. You don't get to chain block anything when you do the combo, but it is pretty much a guarantee to go into what is it? To go into Aqua Argonaut. Like, there's very few times where you won't be able to, and those are like really bad hands, but you can still at the very least go into what is it? Base Great Bubble Reef here. I'm trying to reduce the ums, ahs, and all that stuff because it's annoying. I'm also trying to what is it? Stop with the long pauses because that's also really annoying. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, it's so bad, dude. I just can't do a script. Like, for the life of me, I can't. Not really much else to say. If it's in the graveyard, you can special summon to a link zone that a link monster points to, but it's like, I personally rarely use that effect. And I mean, it's still a really great effect to make sure that your normal summon still stays, just in case anything happens, but like, it's not coming up too much, right? I'll get to this guy later. Don't worry about that one. Marincess Blue Tang, this is your premier 1-card starter. You always want to see this card in your hand or use mining to get it, because this card is a guaranteed Aqua Argonaut, and depending on how things shake up when you do the 3 reveals, you can just extend further beyond. You can get, what is it? You can get a Aqua Argonaut made with Crystal Heart, or you could do Aqua Argonaut plus Abyss Dweller, which is also a really great end board. It's like, this is just your premier card. It kind of just does everything and more. We're on 2 Pascalis. I think some lists run 3 in the TCG, and I think here too. But 3 is just too bricky. Like, 2 is, I think, and I think a lot of other people think of this as well, as just the correct ratio, because whilst you still want to see this card, especially since its graveyard effect is so good, despite not being like active the moment you send it to the graveyard, recurring your wave and your Battle Ocean is just so good. Like, it's just something else that that's a fallback when we don't have Coral Anemone and stuff like that. Now, obviously, since most Marincess lists only run 1 Battle Ocean and 1 wave, if these get banished, you're kind of boned. But I think you were already kind of boned anyways if you went against Kashtira, or if you went against like Flu or something else that's like trying to floodgate you with like a Macrocosmos. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do with that, right? And also, Pascalis is also just normal to, what is it, to special summon another Marincess monster. This is also another 1-card combo, but this is like your 4th best one, because you give up your coveted normal summon, and it gets kind of really fucking dicey when you go with Pascalis, because that just signifies that you're going all in, and that you're praying that your opponent just does not have a hand, does not have like an Ash or an Imperm or a, what is it, or a Veiler or anything like that. Because the moment Pascalis gets negated, you're kind of boned to oblivion. There's nothing else you can really do with this, other than just, what is it, Pascalis into Sea Angel and hope for the best. Basila Lima, you're never actually summoning this thing. It's for the protection effect. This is, what is it? This is our branded opening in monster form. You literally don't use this for anything else. Because this effect is never active, because we're not running any of the other Marincess traps because they're garbage. And this just comes up sometimes when, when you use it to banish itself to protect your monsters. Oftentimes this doesn't come up, but when it does, you're thankful that you have this. So, That's why you want it as a one-off. 3 Marincess Spring Girl. Your second best one-card combo. Yes, you banish a Marincess for this, but honestly, this is still pretty much like the best extender that's not Mandarin. And it's also just like, you can also use it for chain blocking, right? Because when it's sent from the field to the graveyard for a link summon, you get to mill cards to mill cards to your graveyard up to the amount of Marincess monsters you control, and you know sometimes they'll mill your garnets, but like it's whatever, man. It happens. One Sleepy Maiden, another extender, also a great way to protect your Battle Ocean from being destroyed. Like it's all like most people use it for an extender. I try and use it always for what is it? For the protection effect, because that's like the biggest thing is that like you make an Aqua Argonaut with Crystal Heart, you still need to have Battle Ocean on the field. Battle Ocean is not on the field, then you're still kind of boned. The graveyard effect comes up sometimes, but half the time I don't find myself personally using it because I don't know, like yeah, I could go into Aqua Argonaut and get like 1 link material for a Spell Trap negate, but like there's other just better things I could be doing, honestly, with my time. So, let's see what else here. 2 dive. Not really great at 3. Like it's a great extending tool, but it's not a starter, so you don't really want to run a whole lot of it. Battle Ocean and Wave, you kind of just want to run as minimal of these as possible. There's a case to be made for running like 3 wave, 3 or 2 wave. It's not a hard once per turn, but at the same time, it's literally only active if you have a link 1. So if you don't have at least a link 1 monster, you're kind of boned. And it's kind of not a really good hand trap if you don't have a link 3. So like these two, like you're just kind of fucked. Now for the other non-engine stuff, I'm trying to like shotgun this because I know I can go forever with this. 12 minutes. Oh my god. We have 2 Minai Ruka. What Minai Ruka lets you do is chain block. Chain block with Blue Tang. If you chain block with Blue Tang, you can save Blue Tang's effect, go into Coral Anemone, and what is it? And then use the actual link off effect for Seahorse Sea Angel to chain block that and like force her opponent into a dilemma. And then 2 Adularia of the June Moon. This card is mainly used to send Rare Statue of the Torrents to the graveyard. And then what is it? And then using Coral Anemone to bring it back and floodgate your opponent. It's like having Stealth Kraken, just better. And it's also just funny that you can do that because, yeah. So now with this list, especially like this, what is it? This main deck, I have 3 lines. I have like at least like 5 different lines of play at all times, and I can just, you know, if I have Adularia, I can do the floodgate lock. If I have Minai Ruka, I just extend into Oblivion, and then otherwise I just do normal Marincess combos with any number of Marincess monsters. There's just so many ways to go about things with this list, like, why would I not? Then we get to the extra deck. We'll go over non-engine because that's easier to do than main engine. Best Dweller, I mean, it's literally just anti-graveyard. You know, like this does come up since, you know, we have all water. This is very helpful, but anti-graveyard, anti-tier, anti a lot of things, anti-branded, yeah, fuck those things. Stealth Kraken, it's a quick effect pop, right? Like, quick effect non-targeting pop. It's just really nice. Really nice to bait out a negate or deal with an opponent's like boss monster. If Toad wasn't banned, we'd I'd actually replace these two with Bahamut and Toad, but Toad is banned, so there's like no point. That's also Marincess's way of playing around Nibiru is if you do a Toad line early, but again, no Toad, so you just kind of play right into Nibiru. It is what it is. Flash Mage. You don't normally use this. You only use this if you know you can't go into, what is it? If you can't go into World Triangle cleanly. And then World Sea Dragon Zeolantis. What can I not say about this thing? This thing is fucking good. Since we waterlock ourselves, like floodgate ourselves with our cards normally, and since Zeolantis itself is a water, we can make this thing use its effect to banish all of our opponent's monsters that are definitely not water, and only summon back Zeolantis, and it's like, oh nice. Now you're just kind of boned. And then now the rest of the engine stuff. 2 Blue Slug, 2 Sea Angel, standard stuff, right? You need both because one for the initial combo and one for the follow-up. I mean, there's possibly a case to run 1 Blue Slug, 3 Sea Angel, but 2-2 is like, I think, correct. 2 Coral Enemy for sure. I think during Kashtira format you want to run 3, honestly, but again, because like you still need space for the rest. Also the most generic, the most generic, what is it? Marincess monster and just the best one, like the best like extender in the world. 1 Marbled Rock, you know, you kind of it's the other Link 3, and then like it comes up. It doesn't come up a lot. It comes up. 1 Crystal Heart. I mean, you need to be running this to be making, what is it? Be making your Link 4s unaffected by card effects. You don't really use it for anything else. You just kind of go into Crystal Heart, make Aqua Argonaut, call it a day. That's all there is to it. Great Bubble Reef is your backup plan, or if you can't go into Aqua Argonaut, it doesn't do a whole lot, but if things get banished, it becomes a giant beat stick, and you know, during each standby phase you can, what is it, banish a card to draw a card. It at least keeps advantage up, and it allows you to basically give life to the water monsters that are just like sitting in your graveyard doing fuck all. And lastly is the card that doesn't have the summon animation, but Wonder Heart does, is Aqua Argonaut. This card is your towers, is your boss monster, is your everything, because this card kind of fixes a lot of the problems with Marincess. While this card is in the extra monster zone, your opponents cannot attack other monsters except this card when it's in the extra monster zone. That helps a ton. Sorry if my chair is creaky, it's just like that. And then, you know, during your turn, you can, what is it? You can bounce a water monster you control and bounce a card that your opponent controls to the hand during your turn. And then, what is it? During the opponent's turn, if they were to activate a what is it? Spell or trap, you can negate the activation, which is really good because then that means they can't use the card again for if they grab another one and stuff like that. And that's kind of it, actually. Like, the only reason why this video is so long is because I'm explaining like the uses of the cards and like other things. But to be honest, I don't really have a combo video lined up. Because, I mean, I think you can kind of see the combo lines if you were to watch the Marincess gameplay video I made. But yeah, that's about it. If there's any questions you have about this list, let me know down in the comments. But I don't think many people will be seeing this video to begin with, so that is what it is. See you all next time.